Okay, base end angle left cabinet, end of run transition cabinets. They have a left and a right. This one's showing the right. This cabinet, we're going to demonstrate the assembly in a few moments, but we also want to talk through its uses and some practical things to know about it. First of all, it is a transition cabinet. The intent is to take a 24-inch deep run of cabinets. This one, actually, we're demonstrating this with a 30-inch deep. That's why this big space is here. But for all intents and purposes, let's assume this is a 24-inch deep standard kitchen cabinet. And maybe you have a sliding glass door over here, and you don't want to have a hard countertop edge you're going to bang your hip on. You want to smooth the edge of that cabinet down and take it down to a 45-degree angle. It's a perfect application for that. Some things to know about it. The size range is not broad. I believe the lowest they'll make that cabinet is 31.5 high. The tallest is 42. So you can't go all the way down to a real short one or a real tall one, but that's a pretty good range to work with. Another practical thing to know is if you're doing inset, we have some other videos that show how these brackets go on, but the point we want to make is you cannot hinge this door either way on inset. It has to go, the hinge has to go on this side because the hinge brackets mount to the back of the front frame, and so you have this hinge bracket now projecting out into your storage area a little more than you would if it was a square cabinet. So it has to be hinged on this side because if you try to go over here, you're up against the cabinet wall. You can't fit this bracket in an inset application. So your door must be hinged on this side, and it must swing open like this. Okay? You cannot hinge it like this. Not that you want to, but I've had some people call and complain. Another thing to be aware of is if you're going to do an end panel on this, let's say in the rest of the kitchen you've done the prep false side option, which is where Conestoga will extend the front frame and your door panel nests nicely up behind that extended front frame piece. Can't do that on this. They don't extend this out and back. It kind of looks funny anyway. So what you'd have to do is size a door panel the exact size of the cabinet side, and you'd have this kind of a thing where it's going to come across and then stick out this 3/4 of an inch. There's no way around that. We can't change that, and it is going to increase the size of this cabinet from a normal 12.5 wide to something like 13.25. So be aware of that. We can help you size the panels and so forth, but that is something to be aware of. As far as finished ends go, they're always assuming this is your finished end. And this is the side you're going to see. So they will do the flush end option, which is a finished side. They'll do the exposed end option, which is a finished side with 1/2 inch material, and your front frame hangs past by about 1/4 inch. On the left side, in this case, I'll call it the deeper side, the only finished side option you have is exposed. They will not do a flush end on this deeper side. So let's get started with the assembly, and let's show you how this sucker goes together. All right, let's get started on this base angle end assembly. It's a little different than some of the other angled cabinets, like the corner ones where you assemble into the front frame in some cases. This one, we're going to stand the box up and assemble the box first and then put the front frame on. So let's get started with this thing, Jim.
Yep.
Put glue on our slots like we normally do. And you can see Jim's only going down about 1/2 or 3/4 of the way. You don't want to run the glue the whole way or it'll just spread out through the bottom and a gluey mess. Now we're going to stand this upright. And you want to do, obviously this is the way your cabinet's positioned. You want the finished side in, and you want the long edge to the long edge. Just going to slide that down in. Okay, and then we have the other cabinet, the short cabinet side.
Put that on.
Run some glue here. Again, only about 1/2 or 3/4 of the way. Now we're going to slide this down onto our male dovetailed slots. And on we go. So now we will flip the cabinet up on its face in a moment and tap everything into the front frame like you normally would. But to get the frame on, we're just going to leave it loose for a second. We're just going to put our glue on our shoulders like we normally would. Oops. And this has got a fat edge on it, so I'm going to put glue on both sides. I've got a little squeeze out there I'm going to wipe off. Okay. We're going to have some contact with the top and bottom panels along here, so we want to make sure we glue that like your normal cabinet assembly would call for.
Okay.
Flip this over. It'll be pretty evident how it goes on. will only orient one way.
Slide that.
Start with getting this top rail on. What's that hitting here, Jimbo? Just give it a hit.
Yeah, it's just fine. There we go.
So that one's on, and now we can kind of assemble everything else into that. What's that?
Just trying to get that lined up. All right, push that down.
A little off.
There it goes.
Yeah, mine went right in.
Yeah, pop that. Just kind of, just tap it. We gotta hit this up from the bottom.
Okay, flip those ones back. We'll do that.
Yep. Okay.
So you can see we were having a little trouble getting that one front frame piece on, so it made sense for us to flip it over on its face and begin to tap these parts into the front frame like normal.
Okay. Nice and tight now.
All right, so now we got to put the back on. We've finally got this thing. This one was a little bit of a bugger on video. A little embarrassed because that one frame fought us a little bit. We're going to go ahead and put the back on, and this is just like any other cabinet. Just glue the left and right side shoulders and a little on your top and bottom. Line your tab up with your scribe line. And give her a little love tap. And once she sets in, we're just going to go ahead and pin the top and bottom scribe lines and along this edge. Because this is a flush end, I'm able to come in the end here instead of through the finished side, what's going to be the finished side. And now Jim is going to just pop some on that regular. You can do this standing upright or on its side, it doesn't matter. As normal, we're going to make sure we're level everywhere, and Jim, you have to go down the foot in there.
Here more.
Out there?
Yep.
Okay, so there's your assembly on the angled corner cabinet. Like all the angled cabinets, they fight you a little more. You're trying to deal with opposing angles and stuff instead of just straight 90-degree assembly, but it's not impossible. It is always good to have a second set of hands. But the finished product is quite nice, as you can see. So if you have any questions on how to assemble a base angle end left or right, as this one is, just give one of our sales folks a call. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks.